I appreciate everybody joining us today. This is one of the highlights of each month for us as a company as well, to talk about the things that we've worked on and delivered over the last month to 6 weeks, and then to really educate you on what's coming so you can begin to think about new ways to take advantage of SmartSuite with the features that are going to be released in the next 4 to 8 weeks is typically the time frame for all the new features we'll discuss today. Also want to say just a shout out to all the people that's worked with me over the last 4 to 5 weeks on feedback for the features I'm going to show today. As a reminder, I spend 2 to 3 hours of every day just on feedback calls with customers and partners. And if you have particular areas that you're interested in or feel that you could add value to, or you're just interested in things, please reach out to our team. We'll get you set up on some of those calls. We also have group calls that are now happening every couple of weeks on various topics. We'd love to have you join us and just talk through new features that we're just in the design phase for as we begin to make final decisions on how to implement those. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into a list of about 7 or 8 features that have been released, just to make sure that you're aware of those. I'm just going into a demo account. I'm going to click on just a sales CRM at the most basic level to show you the concept. This first one relates to conditional logic inside of forms. So I'm going to click on opportunities here, and I've set up a form for website leads that is completed when somebody maybe would come to your website, and you can either send them a link or you can embed this directly on your website. And as a person fills out this form, what we've said is, based on the type field that they select, we want to set some conditional logic and only show the building type if the selection in this first field is commercial. So very basic, right? Now I could add as many conditions as I want that's here, and I can have conditions on all the different fields that are below this type field that's available. To see that live, we'll click on the shared form and just open it up here. So now this is what the end user would see if you had just sent them a link, or they would see just this section of the form if you embedded it on your website. If I come in here and I pick residential, notice that I don't get the building field that's here to select, but if I say commercial, now building type automatically shows up that's here. There's 2 different ways that you can use this conditional logic that's here. So you can control logic for an individual field, like I'm showing here, but you can also control logic for at the section level. So if I had added a section to this, move my toolbar here, we'll get back to the leads here. So if I had added a section over here and I had moved some fields into this section, these fields aren't going to make sense. So I'm just going to pick some things to put in here now. I can also add logic at the section level, and I can determine if this entire section, all of the fields in the section are displayed as well based on a condition. So I could come up here and do the same thing. I could pick the company type field, or the type field that's here, and I could say, if that's commercial, I want to display it. If it's not, I don't want to display section 1. So if I come back over here to my form, just refreshing it, that's here. Now, if I come in and say commercial, section 1 is showing up with additional questions as well. But if I pick residential, I'm keeping it simple. So we have quite a number of customers doing some pretty sophisticated things here with the ability to ask large numbers of questions based on the information that's coming in. We have some customers that had 5 or 6 different forms, and they've consolidated into a single contact us form, where the first thing that they do is ask the question of how can we help you? And then based on that information, the fields that you want them to complete are here. And for those of you that might not know, that the minute that you submit a record and fill it out here and click submit, it automatically brings that data right back into SmartSuite in real time. That's here. So you can see this one that was just entered that I kept as an empty. Didn't fill out all the information, but you can see that it came in with the information that was completed. So that's conditional logic on forms. What's coming that is next in line is you'll have the ability to do the same type of logic that we just did for the form at the record level. There'll be an option that you'll click on the menu here, and you'll be able to set conditional logic. And now I can be able to say only display the sales detail section based on maybe the stage that's up above. So the first implementation of that will be at the section level. And then in the future, we'll implement all the way down to the field level, like you just saw in forms as well. All right, let's look at grid view for a number of updates. These are usability and just some cosmetic updates to help from just all the feedback that we've got to help it make it easier for you to interact with the grid. First thing you might notice is just some subtle cosmetic changes where the color that you've selected for the solution has a slight color in the background that's here. We've rounded a few edges and things here and there, but trying to make the content a little more visible so you can focus on that, as well as the line color that you'll see selected here now has just a small shade based on the color that you've selected here. This sounds pretty simple, but we've received so many comments over the last 6 months on just this, so we went ahead and implemented that. The next thing is you can go into a cell, and I'm going to just say Control C right now, and I copied that cell. I could go down to another cell and click Control V. Super simple, that's here. So you can paste content across any of the cells with just Control C and Control V. We also have options where if I come in and select one or more records using the checkbox, our menu panel at the bottom here shows up where I can print, export, and we added 2 additional items that are here. The first one is I can just copy. So I just copied that to my clipboard. And it copied 11 cells of data going across. Now I could insert that back into another, maybe a Google Sheet, or I could even come into a new row and I can do Control V. And it says, okay, hey, we noticed that there's more fields. What would you like to do? And it just added that same record, it copied it down into this section for me. So you have the copy feature. What's more handy than copy if you're looking to duplicate records is we added a duplicate feature. So now I could just highlight the records I want, hit duplicate. You notice in this case that it added the word copy. If I were to duplicate that again, you notice that now it says copy and number 1 that's there. So each time after the copy, it will add the 1, 2, 3, 4 as a designator at the end. So if you're setting up data, doing things over and over, this is meant to be very easy for you to control. In the future, when you set up a view type, there's going to be an advanced view settings that you can access if you were the person that set up this view, and you will have the ability to determine if these bulk actions are available in the view that you've saved here. So if you don't want users to have these functions, we're going to give you the ability to turn that off very easily. The same goes for things like the fill handle that you see here. If that's not a feature that you want in that particular view, you'll just be able to toggle that feature off. So basically, all the functionality that we give you inside of Grid and all the way down to the toolbar items are things that we're working on to give you more control so that you don't always have to have it live if you don't want. Another example is maybe you don't want users to come in and change the filter in the group for this particular view you want it set. So you could actually just hide these 2 and they're not there. Or you could do like we do today and you could hide the entire toolbar if I just turn that off if you don't want anything displayed there. All right, let's advance filtering. This is a big one from our power users that came in. You can go into SmartSuite right now and add as many filters as you want, but you have to select if you want an and or an or for all of the items that are in the list. So if I come in here and just say, I want to do a filter on type and I want it to be prospects, right? It just filtered all of my information to show just prospects. Now you can add filter groups that's here, and you can pick an and or an or operator in between. So in this case, I want to say where the type is prospect, or I want to say the size fields is 500 to 1,000. So now it just performed the operator and brought back that. Now I've shown you something pretty simple, but you can go a long ways down and be very specific and add as many filtered groups as you want to get to the specific data that's there. This functionality is now built for the filter, but what you're going to see is that this is going to start getting applied to anywhere that we use conditional logic in SmartSuite. So places like Spotlight, where you can get very specific with conditions on when you want to color code certain items, as well as in forms and in charts. Just everywhere that we have the filter capability, you'll see this new control start to pop up. All right, SmartDoc. There's a number of enhancements that have been done to SmartDoc. Let me share here. The easiest way to show this to you live is just the collaborative mode that's here. And I've got the wrong title. Don't worry about the title that's up here. As if two or more people are actually editing a doc at the same time, it will actually show the changes that each person are making here. This has been released in beta. Got lots of people using it, lots of feedback that's coming in. We'll continue to modify or update and refine this as we continue to receive great feedback on how people want and like to use this. One of the specific comments that we're getting back that we're evaluating right now is if we can always make the SmartDoc field type inside of any record auto save. And we're getting a lot of feedback before we make a decision on this. So if you have thoughts, please make sure that you reach out. But what that would mean is that each time that you come into this particular field type, meaning this is a document, you will see multiple people editing and the content would be auto saved across all of the people, where you don't have to click save to save the content in this field. There's some extreme advantages to that, whereas people are making edits in the same paragraph and fixing typos and doing things, and one person doesn't save, those would be lost for the other person and they thought that they were editing that content. So that's on the plus side. The downside is we don't want to confuse users to know that this is auto saving. So we're looking at options on how do we tell you that when you click into this field. So the minute you would click in, we maybe show a message right here that says this SmartDoc field is in auto save mode that's there. So again, if you have thoughts or feedback on that, don't be shy. Let us know, especially if you feel that it would be a problem to add the auto save. We'd want to know your comments on that specifically. We're trying to convince ourselves that it's okay to move forward with the auto save piece. We have a couple of integrations that I wanted to highlight. Let me talk about one that's coming here very soon that we'll be announcing is with a company called Bardeen. Bardeen is an automation company that it provides similar capabilities that we provide inside of our automations, but across platforms for different products that are there. And so it has a similar look and feel. It's not exactly, but it will be similar to what I'm showing you here. But what Bardeen does that's interesting for our customers is they allow you to do one main thing that people have been asking for, and the reason that we reached out to Bardeen, which is you can go to different websites, different pages, and you can scrape data off of those pages and pull it directly back into SmartSuite in real time. And you can set that automation up to happen once a day, 3 times a day, once a week, whatever that time frame would be. And think if you're a recruiting agency and you need to pull down content from LinkedIn or a recruiting board just to see new resumes that are popping up that's there. So simple things like that you could pull in, but there's lots and lots of different value props or use cases for scraping data that's there. And Bardeen is known as the leader in that space. So that's why we've partnered with them. They're just putting the finishing touches on their integration back with SmartSuite right now. All right, not going to save that. So next item I want to talk about is an integration with a company called Easy Portal. We've talked about this a few times in the past. They've just moved from their closed beta into their public beta. What Easy Portal allows you to do is create portals using data that pulls live from SmartSuite. So you can basically put a very user-friendly, customized interface on top of SmartSuite that you can share with the masses, and you can require that they log in or not log in to be able to access that content that's there. So think of things like client portals, community portals, websites, landing pages where you want to pull data from SmartSuite. This page actually, their website is actually created using their own products. I'm going to actually log in and just show you a couple of quick things just so we can pique your interest of what is now available for you to do. This is the first of 4 vendors that we have that you can pull data from SmartSuite. We'll be announcing 2 more over the next 4 to 6 weeks that are integrated with us currently. So you're going to have lots of good options to actually pull data in. I'm going to pick a template that's here. Let's just say I want to do the event planning template. And it pulls the data in. I just want to show you the really basic concepts that are here. So I can go in and set up as many pages as I want. I have control over kind of the look and feel of the pages and how I display those in the menu. I also have control over if I want the menu to be displayed at the top, or if I want more of an application menu where the items would be displayed on the side that's here. So if I click here to change the navigation menu, you can see I can create more of an app type of feel that's here. I can go into any element that's on the page, and when I click into that, I get a couple of things I can do. I can copy, delete, I can move it up and down, but mainly I can change the content in real time. So if I come over here and I'm going to say schedules and I just add 1, 2, you can see that the content changes here in real time as I update that. So what this is meant for you to do with these types of elements is make it very easy for just general people to set up portals, landing pages, those types of things, using information or context that you have, maybe, as opposed to needing to go to a developer. If you wanted to add a new section that's here, I could click on one of these blocks, and there's 2 types of sections that are available. There are static blocks that basically allow you, like these here, where you're not pulling content from SmartSuite, but you need to display information back to somebody. And there's all kinds of different formats that you can pick from. You can go through here. We have customers that are using this on the agency side of professional services, where they're sharing information on projects back with customers in real time, but they've segmented the data so that the user only sees that particular project that's there. And then dynamic blocks are what actually pull data from SmartSuite. So if you wanted to create a table and you wanted to pull data directly from SmartSuite, I can just click, insert that table that's here, and now I can pick a data source. So when it says add a data source, this is where you're connecting to SmartSuite, and it's going to connect to whichever account that you pick. Once you connect, that connection will be live for you now inside of this portal, where you can pull data back from any source and continue to set that up. If I go back into Easy Portal here, and if I select a solution, an app, and a view, this data right here will show in real time each time somebody comes in. But you also have the ability to set visibility of who can see this data inside of a page. So I could say every user that's in, or only logged in users, or only logged out users. So maybe when they first come in, they can see the overview, but once they log in is where you show some of these other pages that are here. So I don't want to spend too much time on Easy Portal that's here. There's going to be a webinar next Tuesday from the CEO of Easy Portal that are going to show some specific use cases and how it's used. But I just want you to know that this is now available to our customers. It's in public beta. It's free right now. If you're interested in pricing, they do have pricing up on their website, so you can get a sense of what it would cost, but it's very economical. You can have 5 portals in this case for $29 a month. So we're very happy that this is now available to our customer base. All right, so let's run into some fun updates that are on the way for us. The first one that I'll talk about is, this is something that we are probably about 10 days, maybe sooner, away from releasing to all customers. This is a whiteboard feature that's now available inside of our SmartDoc field type. This allows you to come in, use the advanced menu, just say whiteboard. It will then create an image similar to this on the page. And then you have the ability to have full whiteboard capability. So you can create flowcharts, diagrams, org charts, just anything that kind of you would see in a whiteboard. Multiple people can see this at the same time. When you actually click save that's here, it closes this window, and it then shows that diagram, whatever you've created inside of this image area, and you can resize this to be whatever size that you would like to show that's in here. We're also considering the autosave feature that I talked to you about prior for the whiteboard feature, so that as you came in, this would just be closed, but all of these would be saved in real time if we move there. Quite a number of our consulting customers are using Miro and other products to do whiteboards, and this is going to just allow you to have everything in one place. Next piece, dependencies and Gantt chart. So we are making amazing progress on this. We are really close. We're not all the way there yet to release it, but I wanted to show you some of the concepts so you know what is done. So what I'm showing you here live today is actually live, and our team is working on it, or fine-tuning this. We're working with some customers on specific feedback, but let me tell you how it works so you have a sense of what's coming. So we have a new field type called dependency that allows you to come in and determine if you want to start tracking dependencies between tasks. And you can track dependencies between tasks in any app in the solution that you're in right now. So it doesn't have to be just one-to-one. You can go across any number of apps in the solution that you're in. There's two different modes. There's a simple mode, which is being shown right here when you enable this field type, which means that I'm going to get two columns, things that I'm waiting on and things that I'm blocking. So as you click here to add a new dependency, it pulls up the list of all the tasks. You could flip between the different apps. When you select one, it actually shows in the particular column that's here. It also shows on the back side of that relationship if you have the dependency turned on. When something is complete, you'll notice that it moves to green and shows the checkbox. So you'll always see everything that was here, but the items that you're waiting on will show in an orange. And if you're blocking something, it will show in red until it's done. And then this would show in green as well, that's here. We also have an advanced mode that when you enable advanced mode here, it gives you even more control. So now I can come in and pick the type of dependency that I want, start to finish to start. There's 4 different options that you can pick from. You can also set lag time if you want to here. So this item can't start for 2 days after this one is complete, if you wanted to look at it that way. So for our really hardcore managers, especially construction companies, the advanced mode is what they want. For most of our general product managers, just tracking tasks and things, or product managers, the simple mode is going to work for you. In addition to now being able to display all this in a Gantt chart, what we found as we went through the reviews is a lot of product managers don't want to see the Gantt chart. They just want to see a grid view, and they want to be able to see these 2 fields, predecessor and successor, as field types and see which items are in here. And they also want to be able to filter on that. So I could set a filter inside of my regular grid view that would say, only show me things that are not complete. That's it. So that's what we would then show you here in this example that's here. So you're going to have multiple options on how you can actually display the data for dependencies, not just in the traditional Gantt chart, which a lot of the general comments that we got from the less sophisticated users that still want this capability was that they wanted to see the grid. Our more hardcore project managers want to see the traditional Gantt chart that's there. This is coming out in October. It's going to be closer to the end of October, although there'll be a number of you that will give early access in the alpha to allow you to test the full thing from the Gantt chart and the grid view. So if you have an interest in that, please send a note in the comments or reach out to someone on the team as well. Larger record sets, I'll just mention here, we're going to have more information in the October update, but we're making amazing progress in this area. We will likely be able to support record sets in the million range and have better performance than you're seeing with pulling back 3,000 records today. So that's a pretty big deal for us, but we're hoping to be able to support 1 million+ records in a single app is the goal here. Homepage solution groupings. So we've been working with a group of people for the last month or so on lots and lots of designs. We've now narrowed it down to 2 designs here, but what you'll be able to do now is for companies that have lots and lots of solutions, you'll have the ability to come in and add a grouping and put solutions in that group so that you don't have to just click on see the all like you do now. I could click on marketing. I would see just marketing solutions here, and we would remember the state of this. So if next time that you log in, if you were on marketing before, we just show you marketing that's here. So this design shows keeping the favorites at the top like we have now, adding a recently accessed item as well. And again, remembering the state if you've selected each of these. Option 2 is a little different, and we're looking for feedback. So again, if you are interested in providing feedback on these 2 options, please reach out and we'll get these over to you and you can vote on it. This one here gets rid of the favorites that's at the top, streamlines everything. It adds a favorites as the first pill that's here, and we remember the state. The default, the first time you log in, will be all solutions, but you could select any of the different groupings. And again, we'll remember that when you come back in. So if it's a marketing person and they're typically working in marketing each day, they don't have to see all the noise for everything else that might be in your account that they have access to. So just trying to simplify the homepage for people that are having 50, 100, 150 different processes when you first come in each day. All right, this one relates to automations. This will be coming out here probably within 3 weeks, maybe sooner. We've implemented in the past the ability to actually now see a run history of all your automations. If you have a configuration error, something happened that's there, you deleted a field, and it was used in a condition, and now there's an error that's there. What we're going to allow you to do is to fix that, and then you'll be able to click rerun, and we've captured all the data from the trigger at the time that this executed the first time. So we know exactly what values should be in there, and you click rerun and we'll rerun that. Or if you have exceeded your automation limits in your plan for the month, and so the automations aren't running because you've reached that limit, you can come back in on the first day of the next month if you want to, and you could rerun those if that's important to you at that point in time. Lots more on automations coming. I guess I have one more that I'll show in a minute, but lots of work that's happening on the automation side right now. This is the big one, view level permissions. So what we're going to allow you to do is when you set up a view, we're going to give you the ability to have to go into an advanced view settings kind of option. One of the tabs will be visibility. And right now you can basically say it's either public or it's private and who can see this that's here. Now you'll be able to click on custom, and you'll be able to go in and say, this view is available for these 3 users, or it's available for these 3 users and the marketing team. Or you could take it a step further and say, this is available to people that have the contributor role that's there. So it's allowing you to be more specific on all of the different view types that you want to make available. We're also implementing some controls that you can see here a little bit, in that we are in the final stages of an alpha release of a new sidebar that you can click this and open, and the menu would stay open. So you could click reports and go across, or if you just hover over this, it will auto open. You select your report and it goes away. So we're building this. We're working with customers to see, is that a better user experience than clicking on the name of the view that we have now and seeing the listing? The advantage to this is it cuts out 1 click, sometimes 2, if you're switching between views a lot. So instead of needing to click to open, click to pick what I want, here you could just highlight or hover and click, or if it was open, just click. That's it. You'll also notice that we're going to give you some more options around things that you could control on the page. So in this case, maybe I want to set up a predefined filter that's by status and another one that's by type. And when they click on this, the information just changes for the user. And maybe I don't want to display any of these toolbar items anymore. So you could turn all of these off, and the users can just interact with the data based on what you've pre-configured for them that's there. This one will be out in the November timeframe for us. All right, just a couple, 3 or 4 more, and we'll get through what's coming. Conditional logic within automations is underway. What you'll notice is that you're going to see a conditional actions option show up here at the bottom. When you go to add an action, it will look something like this. A conditional logic, sorry, go to the next page. Looks similar to this, where I could come in and now I can set conditions and have a series of actions that happen, and I can have multiple conditions. So this is going to allow some of you that maybe have 10, 12, 15 different automations. You could put all of those into a single automation, use conditions, and have your action set up that's there. What that means is that things are going to perform even faster, because instead of us needing to go check the conditions on 15 automations before they fire, we can just check it once and then go down the tree and then fire which one is valid to that. So in this case, we've added a condition for a sales region, and if it's EU, then we want certain things to happen. And in this case, you'll notice that this is the update. I want to update a record, but I could have 4 or 5 other additional actions underneath this condition. And then you see here, I have different conditions for different regions that are coming in. Some of our more sophisticated consultants and customers this is going to be a big deal for them. We'll be able to consolidate a lot of automations. And actually, that was the last feature that I had to show. Avi, do we have some questions we'd like to go through?
Yes, quite a lot of questions and quite a lot of excitement. I'd love to hear from everyone here. What was the most exciting thing that you just saw? Was it the automations? Was it the enhancements that we've made? Was it Gantt charts and dependencies? Oh my gosh, it's coming in too quickly. Gantt charts, automation conditions. Hey, Jon, while folks are throwing in these answers over here, I just want to call out that we had quite a large response for autosave across the board, not just within the Smart Doc, but I think at least 5 or 6 people called out yes for autosave. And some folks like Ben Meyer said, I like autosave generally. If you have the good undo, then a save button isn't really necessary, but definitely a lot of enthusiasm for the autosave, potentially even across the board. I don't know if that's something we want to look into, but I see quite a lot of excitement. Different people are excited for different things. Quite a lot of excitement for solution groupings. Who would have thought? Obviously, a lot of excitement for Gantt charts and updates. Autosave on records would be fantastic, but I'm personally very excited, especially for the Gantt charts and dependencies, as well as the automation conditions. Okay, let's get started with a few questions because we have quite a few coming in. Again, just a quick reminder to everyone, if you have questions, please throw them in the Q&A as opposed to the chat so that we can get through them one by one without missing anything. The first question is coming in from Rob, and Rob is asking, is translation in forms possible?
We pull the translation based on the language that you set the form up in, but there's some things that we're looking at that will auto-translate that. For the bad thing of auto-translating is if when you add descriptions and things, and we have Google or we try to auto-translate that, or even field names, we might not get those 100% right. So we're trying to find the very best way to do that translation. But right now you can set up multiple forms, different languages, and link back to that.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good. And Patrick is asking, if the SmartDoc autosaves, does that trigger the when record is updated trigger in an automation? Would that mean if someone was typing and then stopped but started again, it would trigger the automation each time? And Richard's adding, or worse, never trigger. So I guess what happens to the automation trigger of when record is updated if we're having an autosave feature?
Yeah, so you're answering one of the questions before on the reason we don't have autosave across the board is if you want to be able to use automations and have us make decisions based on content that's in that field on if the automation actually runs, that becomes a problem, or we have to add a delay to that where we only save every 3, 4, 5 minutes from the automation perspective that's there. So that's one of the issues that we're trying to find a good way to get around so that we can add the autosave for the Smart Doc.
Gotcha. Okay, excellent. Dave is asking, can you export the whiteboard separately from the whole document?
Yes, you can.
Okay, easy enough. Patrick is asking, can I map Gantt charts dependencies from tasks by created by automations so that when a record is created, it creates 11 tasks. Can I map those tasks within the linked record Gantt chart structure? I hope that makes sense. Or let me see.
I understand the question. So in phase 1, you will not be able to use automation when we've initially roll out this feature, but it will be coming right behind that. So you'll be able to use logic to make decisions and then update records inside of successors and predecessors.
Got it. Okay. Joel is asking, can you do whiteboard exercises with external user groups? We can do a large consultation in Miro. Same here?
So 2 things here. They have currently, if you're in a record, it has to be anybody that you've given access to that record inside of SmartSuite. There's a concept that I didn't want to get too involved in that we're headed down a path right now to have a new view type called Doc or Smart Doc that allows you to just create a document and you can do anything that you want. It shows up as a view type, but then it would allow you to share that document with people outside of SmartSuite. And inside of that doc, you could also include information from SmartSuite. So I can include a grid view as I have information. So think of a strategy document that you're working on with a group of people. That would be more like a Notion, a Coda, a Google Doc, in that you would be able to have multiple people view that. And we're also looking at view that at the same time as updates are being made. We're also looking at this particular view type to be editable by anybody that you share that doc with. So if you want 4 people, just like in a Google Doc, to be able to have edit, you could say these people have edit rights, or anyone with this link has edit rights, or by default, it will just be view. That's it. So we're trying to combine the power of both. Many customers don't want their users to be able to share the content of the company outside of the company. So we're trying to figure out how do we solve this both ways so that we can ensure content is inside of the company if that's what they want at the record level. And then this Smart Doc feature would be something at the view level that you could turn on as an admin and enable in your account if you want that.
Okay, sounds good. And we have a question coming in from Steve Bell. Will the gain charts include the classic milestone marker symbol on the timeline, the triangle shape? Surprisingly, some new Gantt apps don't include that, but it's an essential component.
It does, yes. So
Okay.
we give you a way to turn that on. Again, as we went through the review, not everybody wants that particular capability, but we show you how to turn that on. And then we just show the triangle based on the date that you've set. Basically, that means that if you have set up a task somewhere that we're pulling from that only has an end date, no start date that's there, we can interpret that as a milestone marker for you. You can then display that in the Gantt.
Perfect. Alexander is asking, just a general one. Will there be an upgrade for automations per app in the near future, which is now limited to 50?
That's the reason that we're doing the conditional logic. So you won't have to have as many automations. You can use conditional logic that's in there.
Okay.
So you'll still have 50, but now the reality is it could be 500 different actions that you're taking across those 50 automations.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question from Isaac over here. Is there any news on the ability to report on time tracking over a specified period of time? For example, give me all the time tracked for records tagged with X client this month. I think right now the only way to do that would be with API requests, which is doable, but not ideal.
I tell you what, I need to dig into this particular use case. We do have some interesting things that are coming that are in design phase right now, especially maybe Isaac would be good to provide some feedback here, but we're looking at two things, resource planning and timesheets. We'll use information from the member directory in SmartSuite to be able to pull information to do resource planning. You'll also be able to add additional fields of information that you want to capture in the member directory in the profile of each person that's there. And then that information makes it very easy for us to then allow you to schedule people and for you to see who is booked and not booked and track utilization. Excuse me. The second part of that is a timesheet aspect that does the same thing so that you can track time by user. And we're looking at how do we pull the data back from the time tracking that the user has tracked into that, but also displayed in a timesheet format if you want people to submit timesheets each week that's there. So we want to give you both options. So we're a ways away in that we're in the discussions and the design phases, but we have designs for everything that I just said for the resource planning and the timesheet piece and this tracking if you're interested to participate in that.
Okay, excellent. And Patrick is adding, maybe Patrick can also be a design partner over here, but Patrick is asking as a follow-up, will time tracking ever be automatic without start-stop to track users' activity in the account based on when they start using the records or just overall how much time they're spending within SmartSuite maybe?
Probably not. I'm open to have that discussion, but that also opens up a whole lot of potential problems with people tracking time that they're not aware of. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why we have right now, you can either use manual or automated when you turn it on, and you can leave it running that's there, and we'll continue to track time with that single click. But I'm willing to have a conversation on how we might be able to do that specifically, but that's the reason we haven't.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we have another question over here asking, is it possible to create customer dashboards? I think the question might dig into shareable dashboards within SmartSuite.
Yeah, the answer to that currently is no, but our dashboards are being updated to allow you to share in the same way that you share a grid or share a calendar type. You'll be able to share an entire dashboard. There's a little more complexity because we have so many different widget types that we're working through on that, but you will be able to do that and have a dashboard by client if you wanted, and then just share the link.
Okay. Oscar is asking, are there plans for an automation trigger when record enters a view?
Yeah, we've made decisions not to do that for this reason. When users come in and make changes to a view, not understanding that it then impacts an automation that could be firing, and it could cause a lot of havoc on not having correct data in your account. So what we've allowed you to do is just go in and set up a rule set in the automation that always fires. I'll still consider this, but that is the reason that we haven't implemented the view. The only other option to do this is when a view is used in an automation is to lock the view, but there's also consequences on that side with not being able to edit once you set that up. So it's a catch. We've also tracked from Airtable. They provide this type of capability and through their forms and the feedback. And there's lots of comments, questions, and problems associated with people changing views and affecting data in an account, not understanding that.
Fair enough. Paul is asking, how does visibility related to permissions? If I do not have access to the field, will visibility override that, or vice versa?
It will not. Field level permissions still remain. So those, once you set a field level permission, that's the way it is. That user will either only be able to view or not even know that field is there. But then inside of a view itself, I could say, I only want these 3 people to see this, and everybody else in your account wouldn't know that view is even available to click on that's there. So the reason for that is we have accounts that have hundreds and hundreds of different views that they've set up just based on their size. But the reality is that users are only needing to use 4, 5, 6 views to do their job. So we can make it where you can greatly reduce that. And what I didn't show earlier as well is there's a new enhancement that's a part of the new side nav that you can favorite different views. And when you favorite a view, it will show at the top of the views list for you. So if I work with the same 5 or 6 views all the time, I could just favorite those, and then I can put those in the order. And every time I log in, I now go to that particular, the first one that's in that list is what gets displayed when you log in. So each user could have their own, they may want to go to a dashboard versus the grid view that you set up for.
Okay. Paul is asking, what about calculations involving currencies? Only display as number, not currencies, has been an issue for some time. I think he's talking about the formula field being able to be displayed as a currency.
Yeah, no, we understand that. I don't know where that's at in the development timeline, Paul, but I'll get back to you on that, or I'll have somebody get back to you this afternoon on where we're at. But I definitely understand the issue. We're also looking at, we have customers that are asking to do currency conversion in real time, and we're looking at some options with scripting that would allow you to bring in or connect to a currency converter, and would then allow you to set that up that each morning it would show the current price on the currencies across all of whatever fields you set that up with.
Okay. We have another question coming in. Do you have an update on webhooks and automations? Also, any considerations to trigger a webhook via automations? This way, Make.com and similar will not have to listen to all updates and be filtered, but only be triggered when certain fields change.
Yeah, so we do have webhooks through the API. I'm not the person to tell you exactly how to use that, but our CTO, Pete, can share that information. We use that internally for a lot of the things that we do with Make as well. So we have a right now solution through the API. It is on the roadmap for automations as well. It is right after we're working on the rerun piece and conditional logic. And when those two are done, we add the triggers and actions for webhooks on both sides that's there, so we can listen and we can send information that other people can listen to.
Maxim is asking for a brief comment, ideally with ETA, for the following 3 topics: sub items and automations, outgoing webhooks, and a integration.
Okay. We just talked about the outgoing webhooks as part of the automation piece that's there. So timeline, we are before the end of the year. I don't have an exact date. Once the conditional logic and rerun is done, that entire team then is focused on that. Our automation team is focused on the webhooks piece that's there. I don't have a date or discussion around the N8. I think that's something 2 of us can talk about today, and we can get back to Maxim on that. That's there. And then sub items and automations, I don't have that data just sitting in front of me, but I tell you what, I will get an answer by, let's say, tomorrow afternoon on where that's at in the time frame. It is in the roadmap. I just don't know what the schedule looks like for that.
Okay. Grant is asking, is there when will we have ability to export smart documents only as a PDF or Word doc?
We're looking at that right now. So this is a common request that's coming in. The way that will work is if you're in a record that has a smart doc, you'll have the doc menu next to that. And when you pull that down, you'll have the ability to export, just like you have today to export the whole record, but we will just export the content of the smart doc for you.
Okay.
I'll find out where that's at as well. We can get back to, was it Grant on that?
Yep.
But I think we're like just weeks away from being able to go live with that, but we'll find out for sure.
Okay, perfect. And Barry's asking, is there a future project where you can map whiteboard flowcharts to Gantt charts?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Barry.
That's an interesting one.
If you're wanting to embed a Gantt chart inside of a whiteboard, I tell you what, either if you could expand on this, or if you could just get back to our team with some more data, I'm happy to get back to you, or even set up a call to talk through the use case with you. Okay.
Amazing. And I guess it could be this is what he's going after. I have seen in the past where whiteboards can items within whiteboards can become records, or you can map to records within whiteboards.
Yeah, so that piece is being added to SmartDoc right now, where you can pull in data from the record into the SmartDoc, and basically you're creating a little mini, like our doc designer type functionality. It allows you to pull some of that data in real time into the SmartDoc. If you're going to share that piece, once that is implemented, will be available in the whiteboard piece as well, so where you can pull data in real time. That's there. Okay. But I don't understand the Gantt chart piece, so we'll talk about that.
Yep. We have a question over here from Grant coming in. What is the future of Document Designer? Although great, it is a little challenging at the moment. And then we have Lyndon is adding, while a great start, having functionality like Panda Docs or Document would help save so many automations and extra subscriptions.
Yep. So note that Doc Designer is still in beta. That's there. There's a lot that's left to be added to Doc Designer. That what's being worked on right now is header and footer, and making it easier to split pages with content that's there. Once that's done, I'm happy to share the list of features that are coming there back to Grant if you'd like to see them with Doc Designer. I don't know that we'll ever be a Panda Doc or a document at that level for our Doc Designer, but we'll probably be 85, maybe 90% of what they offer will be in our core Doc Designer.
Okay. Another question coming in, how difficult would it be to add a time zone that is not currently supported?
I need to talk with Dev. If Landon, can you maybe share what the time zone is? We use a control that pulls the international time zones for us that most other products use. I'm surprised that it's not in there, to be honest, but that's something we can check with Dev on today for you. Okay,
perfect. Another question, is there any thoughts on allowing the search or filter options have specified single select drop-down values available for the selection?
I'm assuming, are you talking about the search that's in like grid view or the find feature that's there? If that's the question, the answer is yes. Our capabilities with our find are being upgraded to be a search. And when you open that control, you'll have the ability to say, I either want to find records in the data set and highlight them, so I have to scroll and use the next and it takes me to that. Or you could say, I want to filter the results out that don't match the criteria. And based on that, you'll be able to select a particular field that's there.
Okay, excellent. Andrea is asking, are you thinking about adding workload view so managers can see how the teams are handling their tasks, projects? For example, ideal for small help desk or IT support goals.
I don't know that we've had that request. We have the resource side where we can say what people are scheduled to work on, but I guess you're looking for I tell you what, Adrian, I'd love to have a call to understand this and think and see if any of the things that we're working on now gets us there, where we could create a view to be able to show you that.
Okay. Marcel's asking, time reporting for managers to help company optimization utilization would be great. Example, time tracking on any timer on any project by employee by date, week, month range. Current dashboard doesn't allow individual and team time compliance reports.
Yeah, Marcel, we are part of the capability that I talked about with timesheets is that when a user actually tracks time, we'll associate that back to that particular user in the member directory to the source record. And by doing that, it gives us global reporting based on that data. So what is coming is what you're asking for here. So I could go in and create a view and I could pick the employee member directory as the source. Now I have access to all that data. So I could pick a user, a team, a group of people, and see exactly that.
Okay. Marcel's another question over here. Will the progress bar widget be allowed to run from a formula value?
Yeah, I know we have this as a feature requests in the roadmap. Right now, I don't have a time frame for that. Can Emma, if you're online, can you just make a note for me I need to talk with Dev Team and Peter and get an update on this for him.
Okay. Let's see. Isaac is asking another question over here, more of a mechanics question. When we say get back to you, let's talk to you about X, how should we expect to see that contact? Will you email us at the email address we're on Zoom with, look up our username in forms, or something else?
We'll look up if you're a current SmartSuite customer, we just look it up in our CRM and we'll get back to you. We either get back to you in Intercom directly, so you see the message each time that you log in, or email. Those are the two ways we do that.
Okay. Julian is asking, I may have missed this, but what is the timeline to add additional social media platforms in the social media field? Plus, updated icons would be nice.
Yeah, this is one, I don't have that data sitting right in front of me. The main request is around LinkedIn to be able to to link to a company or an individual. I need to get a status on that because part of that might be done. And then we have a second request to add additional social media options to that list that you could turn on or off. Julian, I tell you what, if you could reach out to us either here or just to our support team and let me know which social media platforms that you have an interest in being added. I don't think this is a big deal, and it's something we can probably do pretty quick.
Okay. Sounds good. Let me see over here. We have a question. Oh, Barry's asking, can you create Gantt charts from a whiteboard item? Or automate that somehow, or have that AI assisted?
I don't know the answer. Sorry. I think I need to have a call with Barry to go through the use case to better understand how that might work.
Okay, sounds good. Barry, reach out and we'll set you up with a feedback call with John. Patrick is asking, suggestion, autosave feature to be in 3 dots for modified field settings and be a similar to field level permissions. And users can choose between autosave and the consequences of automation if it is in autosave. Not a bad suggestion.
Yeah, that's an option, Patrick, for SmartDoc. The problem is the consistency of users not understanding if things are being auto-saved or not. That's why I've been reluctant to do that to date. I don't want to cause more confusion of people not realizing content's being auto-saved. Yeah, that's there. But yeah, happy to continue that discussion.
Okay, sounds good. Era has an interesting suggestion. She's asking if we can we do a live stream like this where we address current feedback suggestions in Canny? I guess just have a webinar going through all the Canny requests and giving a status update or adding context to them. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, we'll huddle on that internally.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great way for people to lobby and promote the features that they have, talk about use cases so other people can vote on them. We pay a lot of attention to what's in Canny. That's there to look at our roadmap. We break it up into 3 different things. We have really easy things, maybe like the social media platform edition, just small little things that just take a day and a half. We have our medium, which are in the week range, and then we have the big ticket items that could be months that are there. So we try to pull from all three buckets each month as we look at things that we're completing.
Okay, amazing. We have a question here from Zvi. Will you add the option for buttons to trigger automations?
Absolutely. We're super close on that. I need to see where that's at with the automations team, if it is being worked on right now, or if it's coming right after conditional logic and the rerun capabilities that are there.
Okay, sounds good. I see we're at time, but we got quite a few extra questions over here and still a large audience. So we'll just run through them as quickly as we can, as long as folks are still here and engaged. Linda's asking, on your roadmap, do you have plans to add email sent via automations to the communication center?
Yes, Landon, that's a request that's came up multiple times here just in the last month from customers, something that we didn't think about initially, but I agree that the concept is really good. So for those of you that might not understand, you can create an automation maybe that sends a particular email to a customer, and then we can give you the ability to look up a record and attach that email that was sent in the communication center. So you have context to that record all the time. It is on the roadmap. I don't have a time frame for this, but I can in the next update call that we do. I can tell you it's not going to be in the next 4 to 6 weeks. It's not on the roadmap that soon.
Okay, sounds good. And we're going to continue going quickly. I see it looks like office hours, which, by the way, for anyone here, if you haven't joined, office hours is a great resource where we have our onboarding team every day at about this time. You can join and have discussions with them, go through any challenges you're having with setting up the product. So we're just going to do our best to wrap up as quickly as possible so they can get started. But Svi is asking, what is the progress on having more than one linked app in a linked record column?
Yeah, you're wanting to, if I understand that, you're wanting to do something similar to what I just showed in dependencies, where you're able to link to something, but also link to other apps with that same field type that's there. Technically, that's not a problem. It's more of a cosmetic thing on how we would allow you to select the multiple apps to make available in that linked record that's there. Let me work with our design team on that. I don't know that this probably falls into the medium bucket that I just said. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one as well. And I mean, let me just say a couple of things as we're coming to the end here. The first one is we have office hours every day at 9 o'clock Eastern time for an hour where you can come in and just ask any questions that you have with our team. You'll be online with other people. Some people like to just come and listen in to see what questions other people are asking. We do live builds types things with you that's there. You can share your screen, but that's meant just every day for an hour. You can talk with a live person, one of our onboarding specialists. We also now offer monthly training for free to all of our customers. And you can go to our website and you can see that training is 1 day. And we also allow you, if you take the training, to become certified at no cost. That's there. So at the end of the training, you can take the certification exam. You can pick any one of the 3 certifications that we offer that's there, all the way up to consultant that's there. So if you are new to SmartSuite and you just want to get up and going in a group setting and do training, Nate does a great job of taking you through soup to nuts in a day. If you're a manager and you just want to know that your people that are building things understand how to do that, it's great for them as well. And let's just take, Avi, 2 more questions before we need to jump off here for the office hours.
Okay, sounds good. Kristen says, would love to know what options may be coming soon for integrations for portal/interfaces, hoping for software or other options.
Yeah, so there are a number that we'll be announcing. NoLoco and Software are both on that list.
Okay, amazing. Let me see. Let's see. One last question. Garrett is asking, are there any AI enhancements planned for Smart Docs? For Smart Docs, example, AI having context of the entire document when using a new prompt, etc.
Right now, inside of a prompt, you can write a prompt and say, I want to summarize the data in this field. And you could add a double print, the name of the field value in SmartSuite, double print. And we then share that information back with AI that's there. We do it 1 field at a time. There's no limit on the number of fields that you can do that with. So you could say, look at these fields and summarize all of this data back for me. that's there. So that's available now. We haven't implemented something that looks at the whole context of the Smart Doc, but it might be easy for us to have something simple for you to be able to do that as well. What's most common is people want to look at these 5 fields and summarize this information back in a Smart Doc that's there.
Okay, sounds good. Apologies to those who we couldn't get to their questions. Definitely reach out through support and we'll get you answers one-on-one. Thank you all for joining the session. I hope you enjoy what's coming soon in SmartSuite.
We appreciate your time. Thank you very much.